Hello boys and girls! Today we're going to learn about seascapes, which means a landscape of the ocean, which is called a seascape. So here I have my seascape. I have some stuff in my foreground or the front of it, some stuff in the middle, towards the middle of it, and some stuff all the way in the background. Okay? So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be given your sloppy copy and a packet full of some clip art for you to decide what you want to draw with your seascape. So here I'm going to draw an ocean floor. Then I think I'm going to draw some coral in here. Now remember, this is your sloppy copy or your sketch where you're figuring out what you're drawing for your final copy, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to draw some coral here. And if you have trouble drawing things, look at the basic body shape. So the shape of a clownfish is sort of an oval. And then you have its tail where it comes out like a triangle and has like a rounded edge there. And I can draw my fin lines and then my lines for my fish. Give it its eye and its little mouth. And it has a little fin here. I'm going to curve that a little more. And I'm going to draw my lines there. And it also has a fin on top. And on the bottom it has two fins. Oh, that's a little sloppy. But it's okay, this is my sloppy copy. Okay, so there is my clownfish. And I don't really have any more space for anything on here. So I'm going to move on to my final copy. And I'm going to draw what I drew on my sloppy copy on my final copy. But I'm going to draw it slower because I am taking my time. And I'm also drawing lightly because you don't want to draw dark, because it's going to be really hard to erase those pencil lines. Now you might find when you're drawing this on your final copy that you have a little more space on there because you drew it in a different way, or because it might be a bigger sheet of paper. So if that's the case, you might need to add some more details on your project, which is perfectly fine. Okay, next step, now that I have it drawn in pencil, is to outline in Sharpie. Now, Miss Miller did not do a very good job following her lines, which is perfectly fine, but it means that I need to do what now? Because you can still see my pencil lines. I don't want those shown on my final copy. I need to erase. Now my pencil lines are erased, and my eraser shavings have been moved off of my project. So I'm going to start coloring it in. You are not coloring in the ocean because you are going to paint the ocean. If you decide that you're going to color the ocean instead of paint it, well then you're not going to get to paint. So remember, you are not coloring in the ocean. You're coloring in your sand, your coral, and your sea life. So you're going to color in your sand, your coral, and your sea life, okay? You're going to, when you're coloring this in, press hard. Now, not so hard that you're busting the crayons, but you want to press hard when you're coloring in, because we're going to do something called a wax resist. And you're going to use the wax from the crayon to start pressing hard so that when we do the resist part of it, it will work well. Now, if you want, you can mix colors together to create a different effect in the sand. Like I'm going to do two different colors of yellow. Not very big difference. So maybe I'll go over it with some brown then too. But I'm pressing hard with my crayon and coloring this in. I'm going to go ahead now and color in the rest of my seascape. Also, notice how when I'm coloring it in that I'm using my helper hand to hold the paper so I'm not ripping my paper, or so it's not trying to run away from me. We don't want that to happen. Now, I am going to color my fish in white too. And the reason is you want to get the wax of the crayon onto the paper for your wax resist. And while you might not see the white showing up now, when you paint it on later, your ocean, you will notice the difference between if you colored it in or if you didn't. Now, if your crayon shavings are getting all over, you can tap your paper to get them off. And I'm going to finish coloring in my coral. using realistic colors, or colors that you'd really see coral. Now that you're done colored in, you're going to go get a mat, and you are going to start painting this in. Now hopefully you remembered and you listened and you did not color in the ocean, because then you can't paint it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my brush wet, and if my paint's dirty, for example, my blue is a little dirty and I'm going to be using that, so I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to rub it on here to clean it off and get that dirty color off of there, and then I'm going to take it back in my water and wipe it off. Same thing if I wanted to use the yellow. I take my paintbrush, rub it in there, and get that dirty color out. Now with a lighter color like yellow, you might have to do that more once. But you're going to rub off the dirty color, and then clean off your brush, and then you can use it once it's clean. Okay, so I'm going to be using realistic colors of the ocean. So should I be using yellow? Because I want to use yellow, but do you really see yellow as a watercolor in the ocean? No. So I should be using my reds, my reds. So I should be using my blues and my violets, or my purples. So I'm going to paint my water, get my paintbrush wet, wipe it off on my cup, and then I'm going to start painting my sea. And here's where the watercolor will resist or avoid the wax if you press hard enough. They don't really like each other, the waxiness and the paint. They kind of try to avoid each other or resist each other. So if I would accidentally paint on an area where I colored hard in my crayon, it's not going to paint over there. What I can do is I can take my finger and I can wipe that paint right off. My seascape is completely painted in. So now I'm going to clean up my spot, take this over to the drying rack with the mat, and I'm going to put it on the drying rack. Have fun, boys and girls.